దూర విద్యా విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూర విద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ బీఏ, బీకామ్, బీఎస్సీ డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టడీస్లో సెంటర్ ఫర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద్వారా ఎంఫిల్, పీహెచ్డీతో పాటు విశ్వవిద్యాలయమే స్వయంగా దూర విద్యా విధాన అంశంపైన పీహెచ్డీ వంటి పరిశోధన కోర్సులు ప్రవేశపెట్టింది. సుమారు 4.5 లక్షల మంది విద్యార్థులు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నుంచి ఉన్నత విద్యావకాశాలు పొందుతున్నారు. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధనా పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
Good afternoon. Today's topic is use of earthworms in organic waste management. This is for MSc first year and BSc third year students. We have two subject experts today to introduce us for these topics. First we have Professor Damayanti Devi, the Dean of Faculty of Sciences, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, and next we have Dr. Radhika Madam, who is Degree College Professor from Tandur. So now I request Professor Damayanti Devi to speak upon use of earthworms in organic waste management.
Actually, as Shraddha told, this topic is for 2-year students. One is for BSc the second year students, and the other one is MSc first year students. And actually both the students are ikkada Open University is totally bilingual. And BSc వాళ్ళకి and MSc వాళ్ళకి కూడా అర్థం అవటానికి I think we'll start our discussion in a bilingual mode, so that I think both the years can be utilize these topics. Okay then. So I think the topic of today is use of earthworms in solid waste management. So we have divided this topic into two parts. One is earthworms. You should know what is a earthworm and how this earthworm digestive system especially is developed, and another aspect is the solid waste management. So the first aspect I think I am giving to Dr. Radhika, and I request Dr. Radhika to tell what are the earthworms and to which phylum it belongs, and at the same time what is the main importance of the digestive system, and how it is really related to, correlated to solid waste management. So Dr. Radhika, you please.
Thank you, madam. So basically talking about earthworms, they are considered to be the friends of the farmers. So we need to know in detail how these earthworms are capable of managing our wastes. They can convert all the waste into highly nutritive and useful humus, which is of great use to the agricultural lands. So initially earthworms, in Telugu we call them Vanapamulu, because whenever it rains, these earthworms, we see them on the surface of the earth, and we find the earthworms shedding out some mud. So the mud that is being shed out by these earthworms are actually the fecal matter of these earthworms. They are called as the worm castings, or we can also call them as the worm pellets. So, these are the ones which are the most useful substances which are used to fertilize the soil wherever these earthworms are present. So, earthworms belong to phylum Annelida. So, as the name suggests, Annelida is a phylum which has got a metameric segmentation of its body. The body is divided into a number of segments. So, the earthworms, they range from 100 to 150 segments. There are a number of species of earthworms. North India, basically it is a Megascolex species, and South India, North India, basically it is a Ferretima posthuma species, and in South India we have the Megascolex dravida and Megascolex indicus, etc. So, coming to the actual digestive system of earthworm, here let us emphasize that it is the waste fecal matter that comes out of the earthworm that is going to add fertility to the soil. Therefore, these earthworms, they eat whatever that comes on their way. So, these earthworms are basically omnivorous. They can just eat anything along with the soil. Basically, the kind of food that they prefer to eat is the organic debris that is there in the soil, that may include plant origin or animal origin, and this particular soil is eaten along with these organic substances, and definitely earthworm has got an advanced digestive system in this way, because it is capable of eating anything that comes on its way, because of which it makes the soil porous as it eats the mud on its way and it keeps leaving to the next soil layers. Therefore, the gap behind it leaves becomes a pore or a burrow. So, that is how the aeration of the soil is also increased. And coming to the earthworm's digestive system, basically we classify it into two parts, that is the alimentary canal, the second part is the digestive glands. Alimentary canal in an earthworm is just like a tube in a tube arrangement. Earthworm looks like a tube. అయితే ఇక్కడ ఒక వానపాము నాళము మాదిరిగా కనపడుతుంది, అయితే అందులో ఇంకొక నాళము మాదిరిగా అమర్చబడి ఉంటుంది ఈ యొక్క ఆహార నాళం. సో హియర్ వీ హ్యావ్ the earthworm, which is having a very simple appearance of the digestive system, but it does great wonders by converting the soil into a wonderful manure. So, here we have basically starting from the mouth to the anus, starts in the first segment and it ends in the last segment, and we have this particular metameric arrangement of these digestive parts. The parts of the alimentary canal are arranged in a specific metameric pattern, like the mouth. The first part of the alimentary canal, we call it as the mouth. The mouth is covered by the prostomium, which exists in the peristomium, the first initial segment of the earthworm. Then slowly the mouth leads into the buccal cavity. Mouth ante noru, dani venaka asyakuharam kaligi untundi, and this buccal cavity leads into the pharynx, grasani అని అంటాము. అయితే this pharynx is the most muscular part of the alimentary canal. Then after the pharynx comes the small, very short stomach, we call it as the enteron or jeernashayam. Then after that it is followed by the intestine. The intestine starts almost at the 14th 15th segment and it runs up to the last segment, and in the last segment it opens out through a pore which we call it as the anus, and this last segment of the earthworm is called as a pygidium. So, coming to the basically the arrangement, mouth is in the first segment, second to third segment is the buccal cavity, and fourth segment overlapping into the fifth will be the pharynx, and from there up to the 15th segment it is going to be the stomach. From the 15th segment it is going to enter into the intestine, and this intestine is going to end through the anus in the last segment, which is called as the pygidium. So, the most important part of the alimentary canal is in the 8th segment it has got a gizzard. Just beyond the pharynx it has got a gizzard, and this gizzard is a masticating apparatus. So, the food that is eaten by the earthworm is not chewed in its mouth, as it does not have any chewing apparatus in the mouth. So, the mud, the soil along with the debris is being swallowed by the earthworm, and this swallowed food is being interacted upon by the salivary glands within the buccal cavity. the pharynx produces salivary juices, and also it has got some proteolytic enzymes also which are being released into the buccal cavity. So, the mud is properly softened, it is properly made soft because of wetting, and also some proteolytic action begins there, some of the proteins are being converted to peptones. Then slowly this softened food, which we call it as a bolus, now it enters into the pharynx region. Beyond the pharynx, it goes in the 8th segment, it goes up to the, after it crosses through the esophagus, that is a fine narrow tube which goes up to the 8th segment. This esophagus is only a connecting tube, it does not have any significance in digestion, it is only a connecting link from the pharynx up to the gizzard. In the gizzard, this is it is just like a grinding mill, పిండి మర్ర అని అంటాం మనము. అయితే ఇక్కడ ఏమవుతుందంటే ఆహారం మెత్తగా నూరబడుతుంది. The food that is eaten, the soil along with the debris that is being consumed by the earthworm is being properly masticated, or it is being properly ground, బాగా మెత్తగా నూరపడటం వలన all the debris, the soil etc., and the structure of gizzard is such that it has got around 6 hook like structures protruding into the lumen, because of which the movement of this, the muscular movements, the contractions and relaxations of these hook like structures, they are covered by chitin. They properly, just like how we use the grinding stone at home, similarly the substances are being ground properly, the soil along with the debris is being properly ground, and after the grinding process is over in the gizzard, the food slowly passes into the enteron, or we call it as the stomach. And in the stomach, there are a lot of gastric glands which are capable of producing some enzymes. Basically, the food, the digestion process has begun at the pharynx level, because the proteolytic enzymes have been released there. Then after it comes into the stomach layer, in the stomach layer it stays for a short time in the stomach layer, it is a short from the 9th to the 15th segment, and around some time the food is being digested here upon by some enzymes, basically by some proteolytic enzymes once again here, because of this gastric glands that are capable of producing. And of course, mucus, excessive mucus is being secreted even at the level of pharynx. The mucus is essential because the food has to move freely through the alimentary canal. So, that acts as a friction, okay, it helps prevention of the friction. Therefore, the along with the other juices of the saliva, even mucus is being secreted, and this helps the passage of the food smoothly into the various parts of the alimentary canal. After coming into the small intestine or the intestine as such, this particular intestine we divide it into 3 parts. If it starts at the 15th segment to the last segment, from the 26th segment onwards we call it as a typhlosolar region up to the last 25th. So, we leave the last 25 segments and the first 26 segments. The middle region of it we call it as the typhlosolar region, because here, just like in higher animals how the intestine is thrown into a number of folds which we call it as a villi, same way here the intestinal fold, especially on the dorsal side, there is a larger fold which occupies a major portion of the intestine, which we call it as the typhlosole. And the basic structure of typhlosole is nothing but a membranous extension, which is basically the basic function of it is to help in digestion and also in the absorption process after the digestion is completed. So, here we have, coming to the 23rd segment of the earthworm, we have 2 finger like projections over the intestines. We call these as the intestinal villi. So, these intestinal villi, they also help in the production of some enzymes, which basically the trypsin enzyme is being secreted, and these enzymes are all released into the small intestine, whereby the digestion process is being completed. And basically the glands that are present in the intestines, they produce the various enzymes that are necessary for the completion of the digestion, starting from the carbohydrate digestion, from the protein digestion, lipid digestion, even cellulose. So, a lot of proteolytic enzymes, pepsin etc., are being released along with, it's just equal to our pancreatic juice, just like how our pancreas they release pancreatic juice. Likewise, we have the pancreas, just like a similar pancreatic juice, we have the intestinal juices secreted by this earthworm's intestine, and the proteins are being converted to amino acids because of the activity of pepsin enzyme. Then we have carbohydrates that could have been ingested along with the soil, that will be converted along with this particular enzyme, we call it as trypsin, to sugars, to simple sugars. Then we have lipids, that is fat, being converted by lipase enzyme. It is converted into the fatty acids and glycerol, and cellulose, because cellulose is the major product that the earthworm eats. So, all the dead and decaying leaves, the roots, the twigs, etc. So, cellulose is also just a complex carbohydrate. So, cellulase is the enzyme that is being secreted, which converts the cellulose into simple sugars and later into absorbable sugars. So, the small intestine, the intestine takes up the entire activity of digestion. The digestion will be completed within the intestine, and after the digestion is completed, the typhlosolar region and the entire wall of the intestine, it acts as an absorbing surface. Now, this is capable of absorbing all the digested food material into its body, and then ultimately that is released into the blood, and this digested food material directly in the form of amino acids, fatty acids, glycerol or sugars, simple sugars, all these are being sent and distributed to all the parts of the body through the blood vascular system. Sometimes some digested food material directly enters into the coelom of the earthworm, and from the coelom of the earthworm it could be distributed into the cells directly. So, basically this is an extracellular kind of a digestion which is going on within the alimentary canal of the earthworm. So, after the earthworm digestion is over within the intestine, now whatever remains comes beyond the last, almost the last 24-25 segments, we call it the end part, or just in higher animals we call it as the rectum. So, it comes to the last part of the alimentary canal, the intestine, where excessive water or any other useful substances that could be there will be absorbed, and now it is retained in the intestine for some time, and the earthworm now it comes with its tail upwards. The tail is protruded over the surface of the earth, and it releases the fecal matter just as lumps of soil. So, wherever we see these lumps of soil, we can easily detect that this particular soil is very fertile, because earthworms are present there. If the earthworms are present there, we will be able to spot these worm castings, and these worm castings are going to help in the fertility of the soil. Not only that, they make the soil porous, and moreover they help in even bringing the soil upwards. The lower soil is being brought upwards and the uppermost soil is being eaten. It will go in after the digestion process is over again. This is called as the movement of soil from the sub area to the surface area. So, this is how the earthworm is capable of doing so many things to us. Definitely it is of great help to us, a friend of the farmer. Let us all protect earthworms, and definitely madam will throw more light on how this particular earthworms are more useful to man, and definitely we will try to protect earthworms and try to use this natural manure produced by earthworms for our agricultural lands, so that we do not have any kind of negative effects of chemical fertilizers. Okay, madam.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Radhika. So, you have explained very well how the digestive system of complete earthworm is. Here exactly in the solid waste management, first of all you should know what is the solid waste management. The solid waste management and how it is related to the earthworm, which we have already extensively we have discussed here. So, the solid waste management in other form we can also call as, this is nothing but the garbage management. So, the refined form of this garbage management is nothing but we are calling it as a solid waste management. This solid waste management is exactly, it is classified into 4 ways, and one is the organic waste, and the other one is the toxic waste or hazardous waste, and the third one is recyclable waste, and the fourth one is hospital waste. I think you know what is exactly what includes in this. If you go for the organic waste, I think you know that is kitchen waste and fruits and vegetables, whatever it may be left over in the houses. I think most of them will go into the organic waste part. And then if you go for the next part, that is the toxic waste or hazardous waste, and this toxic waste, because especially the pesticide cans and fertilizer cans, and whatever the paints which we use in the houses, and I think everything, all things will comes under this hazardous waste. And why we are calling it as a toxic waste and hazardous waste means, because the material which is made up of all these things, that will percolate in the soil, and this, after the percolation of this material into the soil, and it will go into the deep layers of the soil, it will totally destroys the complete water bed and soil also. And then next important thing is recyclable. And though we are telling it is recyclable, but most of the things we are not doing much, but still the main example of this recycling is the paper and the plastics. And you know the main disadvantage about the papers and plastics. And if you just throw the plastics as it is, and if it is eaten by the cow, plastic bags especially, I think it is forming a, it is a great difficult to control this. And these animals are eaten away by these plastics, and it will enter into the digestive system. It will cause deleterious effects on the animals also. And the last part is, I think you know, hospital management. We need not tell you exactly what is hospital management means. All these bandages and blood play with this thing, everything will comes under hospital management. So I think if you can observe this entire management of entire solid waste, and most of the thing that we can see that it is totally the human beings are making of this, or it is totally man made. And man made means I am not blaming the human beings, because of the civilization, because of the industrialization, and because of the agricultural practices, advances in agricultural practices, and we have to go forward. But the same man or same human being is also finding the way to control this solid waste management, or control this solid waste. And how the solid wastes are controlled, because we can adopt 4 important ways to control this solid waste. And one is the sanitation of landfills. లోపల అంతా కూడా వీటన్నిటిని కూడా లోపల ల్యాండ్ఫిల్లో పెట్టేసేస్తూ ఉంటాము. And the second important thing is the incineration, and third important thing is pyrolysis, and the last one is composting. And the composting, actually we are more concentrating today, but anyway we are discussing about the later 3 parts also. The first one is sanitation or landfills. What is this landfill? Landfill means, in olden days what exactly the people are doing is, they just dump the organic waste on the land, soil, and it is totally covered by a plastic sheet. So what is the main disadvantage of this ancient method means, what is the toxic substances which is already present in this solid material, it is percolating into the soil, and it is completely polluting the water beds. So we can see another modern way of sanitation and landfills. In this modern way, what exactly we are practicing is, first we are preparing the bed. We are preparing the bed, whatever we want to, wherever we want to dump all these materials, solid waste materials. First we are preparing them with the clay, and then after that we are adding some coarse sand on it. Then after that we are we are completely covering this with the plastic sheet, and on the plastic sheet we are dumping these materials in a very fine thin layers. And above that we are completely covering the entire thing with another plastic sheet. So I think in this way, at the most what we can do is, we can prevent the percolation, that's all. But what about the other pollutant factors? And totally day by day it will generate methane gas. This methane gas is nothing but it is a green gas, one of the green gas, and it will have the more deleterious effect than carbon dioxide. So naturally this has to be controlled immediately. And another important thing is the disease causing vectors. this entire landfill is completely totally harboring the disease causing vectors, especially you know what is the disease causing vectors, that is rats and flies and all. I think they are causing so many diseases, and they are carrying most of the diseases. So I think this part is also, this sanitation and landfills also is more disadvantageous now. So now we have to go for the second means of disposal. So what is the second means of disposal? I have already told you, that is incineration. Incineration is nothing but it is just burning the things. Incineration, the meaning of the term is nothing but burning the things. What exactly we are doing in this? We are doing this entire thing in a big furnaces or big instruments like that. And in this exactly what we are doing is, we are putting the solid waste in that furnaces, and totally we are reducing into ash. Totally the entire solid waste is completely, మొత్తం సాలిడ్ ఉన్న వేస్ట్ అంతా కూడా ఏంటి అంటే యాష్గా లేదా చిన్న బూడిదిగా కన్వర్ట్ అయిపోతుంది. ఇట్ ఈస్ టోటలీ రెడ్యూసింగ్ ఇన్ టు యాష్. బట్ ఓకే, ఇట్స్ ఓకే, అండ్ బట్ స్టిల్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఈవెన్ దట్ ఆల్సో విల్ హ్యావ్ సమ్ డిసడ్వాంటేజెస్. So what is the main disadvantage of that incineration? Because it is emitting out some obnoxious gaseous pollutants. So that obnoxious gaseous pollutants, I think it is really hazardous, and almost the people who are around that furnaces, or I think it is really affecting their lives. So I think the second one is also a little bit ruled out. And come for the third one. Third part, we are telling that it is a pyrolysis. So what is pyrolysis? Pyrolysis is also almost it is in the same lines of that incineration, but a little change is there. Here exactly what is happening, the solid waste is completely transformed into gases first, then after that it is transformed into liquid, and then in this process some sediment is completely developing, and this sediment is consists of carbon and ashes. ఈ సెడిమెంట్లో మళ్ళీ కార్బన్ తర్వాత యాషెస్ కూడా ఉంటున్నాయి. మరి ఈ ప్రాసెస్ ఏంటంటే, దిస్ ప్రాసెస్ ఆల్సో ఐ థింక్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ కంప్లీట్లీ సక్సెస్ఫుల్ ప్రాసెస్, సక్సెస్ఫుల్లీ మేనేజింగ్ దిస్ సాలిడ్ వేస్ట్ because of the few reasons. One is the half gases, I think they are completely cooled, and another important thing is the liquids which are generated is solidified, and they ultimately they form oil like substances or tar like substances. You know what is a tar and what is an oil, and this oil and tar is also a big hazardous and big disadvantages, and this has to be controlled, because this oil and tar is also will have the habit of percolating into the water beds. So I think this part also, I think it is not completely successful method of disposal of the solid waste. And then come to the vermicompost, and then come to the composting first. First we will discuss about the composting, because that is coming from the traditional part, and then we will go for the vermicomposting. So now shall we go for the composting now? Okay. So composting is nothing but, this is a very traditional way of dumping the solid waste, and we used to dump the solid waste materials, whatever the solid waste materials, we will dump it like that, and but degradation of these solid waste materials is completely by the decomposers. It is completely a natural process. Okay. So that is completely by decomposers. So what is the major decomposers that is initially working on the solid waste materials means the bacteria, and bacteria are the best decomposers, and some fungi also, and these decomposers we call them as primary decomposers, because they are the first microorganisms which are working on these solid waste materials, and they will start the decomposition. And another next process is, and as a result of the decomposition, in course of time, after some time, we can see that entire solid waste materials are completely formed a fumus like substance. The fumus is nothing but it is just like a soil, and but this why we are giving more importance to the pumice means because it is a highly fertile soil and in which the plants can grow very successfully, because it contains nitrogen, carbon, phosphorus, potash, calcium, magnesium, all the minerals I think it contains, because it is a natural made product. This humus is completely natural made product and natural made product by the action of the microorganisms. So, I think this is quite successful and without much amount spent on it and with no capital income on that. So, totally it is a natural process. And then after that I think a human brain is there and we are extending the exploring the things, better things. So, in that case I think Aristotle already invented one this earthworm, and he also called it as intestines of the soil. And even the human brain immediately thought that these earthworms also can be put to use of this solid waste management. So, immediately what we have done is we have added the vermicompost, added the earthworms into that composting process. So, that is the final stage I think we can tell, that is just we are adding the earthworms, which we have already discussed about the earthworms extensively, because Dr. Radhika has already told you about the structure of the earthworms, especially the digestive system of the earthworms, how the food is completely digested and it is excreted through the highly nutritious worm castings. Okay. So, I think only the last final part is the vermicomposting. Here exactly what we have done is we have added the earthworms into the composting bins. ఈ కంపోస్ట్ చేసేటటువంటి బిన్స్లో మనం ఏం చేసామంటే జస్ట్ ఎర్త్వర్మ్స్ని మాత్రమే దాని లోపలికి ఇనాక్యులేట్ చేసాము. ఈ విధంగా చేయటం వల్ల ఏమవుతుంది అంటే ఈ ఎర్త్వర్మ్స్ ఈ లోపల ఉన్నటువంటి యొక్క డైజెస్టివ్ మెటీరియల్స్ని అన్నిటినీ సాలిడ్ వేస్ట్లో ఉన్నటువంటి మెటీరియల్స్ని తినటం అనటం మొదలు పెడుతుంది, బికాస్ దీస్ ఆర్ ద ఒరేషియస్ ఫీడర్స్. రియల్లీ 75% ఆఫ్ ద బాడీ వెయిట్ అది ఇంకా తినగలుగుతుంది, అంత ఒరేషియస్ ఫీడర్స్ అవి పర్ డే. సో కాబట్టి దిస్ విల్ యాక్ట్ యాజ్ ఎ ప్రైమరీ డీకంపోజర్స్. This will act as a secondary decomposers, because the material is already decomposed by the bacteria and fungi and all. Those are the primary decomposers. Here we can consider these earthworms are the secondary decomposers, because it is taking the material from the already half decomposed by the bacteria and fungi. Okay. And if you see the digestive system parts, I think madam is extensively elaboratively explained that, and the material is going to the gut, and the entire material is completely churned by the gizzard, because though gizzard doesn't have any teeth, but the muscular wall of the gizzard is completely churned the materials, and from the muscles, the muscles of the intestine is also completely making them into pieces, and that it is mixing with the digestive systems. Finally, it is coming out as a bolus. Okay. And I think this is the way how the vermicomposting is coming into the picture of controlling the solid waste materials, controlling the problem of the solid waste materials. Okay. So, now I think slowly I will take you to the how the vermicomposting process can be done, because we know that it is a very important one, because when compared to the other techniques we have discussed from the landfills, and when compared to all the techniques, I think we are thinking now, we have come to the conclusion that vermicomposting is the best way of controlling this solid waste management, okay, or solid waste materials. Okay, then. So, shall we go for the composting process now? Okay. So, if you go to the composting process, the most important aspect we have to discuss is what are the most important species which are mainly useful for this composting process. Do you think that all the species are can be utilized for this composting process? Not at all, because there are 3 types of earthworms are there. One is epigeic earthworms. Epigeic earthworms means they are found on the surface layers of the soil, and the second one is endogeic earthworms. This endogeic earthworms means they will burrow into the soil, but only very superficially they burrow into the soil, hardly it goes to 1 to 5 millimeters, centimeters. And then the third type of earthworms are the ancient earthworms, and they form the tunnels and they travel miles together. But now I think these three types of earthworms are there, but now I think anybody can think what type of earthworms can be or more suitable for this composting process. The first one is the epigeate, which can found only in the superficial layers, and the second one is I think a little bit burrowing ones, and the third one is I think it burrows almost deeper layers. So I think I can tell you that the first epigeate earthworms are the best earthworms for utilization of this composting process, because if it forms the tunnels and if we go away from this bins, I think it is of no use putting the earthworms into that. సో ఇక్కడ మనం కన్క్లూడ్ చేసేది ఏంటి అంటే ఎపిజియక్ ఎర్త్వర్మ్స్ సర్ఫేస్లో ఉండి సర్ఫేస్లో డ్వెల్ అవుతున్న ఎర్త్వర్మ్స్ మాత్రమే వర్మీ కంపోస్టింగ్ ప్రాసెస్కి మనకి ఇక్కడ ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. మరి అటువంటి ఎర్త్వర్మ్స్లో మెయిన్గా ఏమి తీసుకుంటున్నాము అని అంటే వీఆర్ సెలెక్టింగ్ 3 types of species for this. One is Eisenia fetida. Eisenia fetida, I think the earthworm which you are seeing here is Eisenia fetida. Okay, can you see the picture here? The picture you are seeing here is nothing but it is the Eisenia fetida, and this Eisenia fetida commonly we can call it as red worms. Commonly we can call it as red worms, and the next type is I think this is the second type. We can usually see that this second type of earthworms we can call it here, it is Eudrilus eugeni, and this is an African species. It is not native of India, and that's why commonly we call it as African night crawlers, because they used to crawl extensively in the night times, during the night times. And this is the third type, that is Eudrilus eugeni, and the next one is this the third type, that is nothing but Perionyx excavatus. It is our own native species, Perionyx excavatus. So these 3 species are the epigeate species, and which are extensively useful for the vermicomposting process. Once again I will repeat, one is Eisenia fetida, and the second one is Eudrilus eugeni, and the third one is Perionyx excavatus. Okay, and now why we are preferring these 3 species? What is the criteria for selecting only these 3 species? ఈ మూడిటిని తీసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం ఏమైంది అని అంటే, మొట్టమొదటిగా ద ఫస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఈజీలీ కల్టివబుల్. చాలా ఈజీగా కల్టివేట్ చేయగలుగుతాము. అండ్ ద నెక్స్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్ ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ద రేట్ ఆఫ్ cocoon formation is very very high in these 3 species. మనకు ఫైనల్గా కకూన్ అంటే ఏంటి అంటే egg formation. సో ఈ cocoon formation or egg formation, rate of egg formation ఎక్కువగా ఉంది అంటే automatically it is a preferable species. Okay, and the third important aspect is biomass production increase చేయగలుగుతుంది. అంటే biomass production అంటే ఏంటి, and it can hatch the young ones, and it can give multiplication of these individuals. I think చాలా abnormal capacity ఉంది. సో దాన్ని మనం ఏమంటామంటే బయోమాస్ ప్రొడక్షన్ అంటున్నాము. సో ఇట్ హ్యాస్ గాట్ హై రేట్ ఆఫ్ బయోమాస్ ప్రొడక్షన్. అండ్ ద ఫోర్త్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఫాండ్ ఆఫ్ ద సాలిడ్ వేస్ట్ మెటీరియల్స్. అది సాలిడ్ వేస్ట్ మెటీరియల్స్ని చాలా లైక్ చేస్తుంది, తినటానికి చాలా లైక్ చేస్తుంది. అండ్ ఐ థింక్ దీస్ ఆర్ ద 4 ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్, ద క్రైటీరియా ఫర్ సెలెక్టింగ్ దీస్ 3 స్పీషీస్. అండ్ ఐ విల్ రిపీట్ వన్స్. One is I think easily culturable, and the second one is fond of the bio waste materials, and at the same time the rate of cocoon formation is very very high, and the next one is the rate of biomass production is very very high. So I think all these 4 factors are very important for taking these animals, these little creatures for composting process. Okay, so I think now we will go for the next part, that is how the composting can be done. కంపోస్టింగ్ మరి ఎలా చేస్తున్నాము? ఇప్పుడు యానిమల్స్ మనం స్పీషీస్ని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నాము, స్పీషీస్ యొక్క క్యారెక్టర్స్ని మనం చూసాము, ఎందుకు ఆ పర్టిక్యులర్ స్పీషీస్ని ఎందుకు తీసుకున్నాము అనేది డిస్కస్ చేసాము. నౌ షల్ వి గో ఫర్ ద నెక్స్ట్ పార్ట్, దట్ ఈస్ ద కంపోస్టింగ్ ప్రాసెస్. ఈ కంపోస్టింగ్ ప్రాసెస్లో ఐ థింక్ ద ఫస్ట్ పార్ట్ ఇన్ ద కంపోస్టింగ్ ప్రాసెస్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ద సెలెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ద కంపోస్టింగ్ మెటీరియల్స్. That is a very important aspect that anyone should taken care of. So one is the composting materials, the materials which we are using for composting. So most of the time we are taking the materials, only the organic waste materials. Okay, so it never go for toxic substances, or don't go for recyclable substances or hospital management. I think those three, I think, keep it aside. And this mainly the composting process we can do only in the organic waste materials. You know what is organic waste materials? There are three types of organic waste materials are there. One is the kitchen waste. Kitchen waste means, I think everybody knows what is the waste materials in the kitchens. And the second one is hello.
Hello. Yeah,
Hello?
madam, good afternoon.
Actually, we have a caller, ma'am. So, hello.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good
Yeah,
afternoon. Yeah, tell me.
Madam, my name is Krishna. I am from Hyderabad.
Yeah, tell me.
May I know small information where these three kinds of, earlier you mentioned these earthworms available?
Yes, I would just
And-
direct the question to Professor Damayanti Devi.
Yeah, and also please inform that what is the procedure to rear those earthworms availability to make it regularly available.
ఓకే, ఐ థింక్ మీ క్వశ్చన్ బాగానే ఉంది. ఈ 3 ఎర్త్వర్మ్స్ కూడా ఇప్పుడు ఇండియాలో మనము ఐ థింక్ వీఆర్ రేరింగ్ చేస్తూనే ఉన్నాము, మనం ప్రాసెస్ చేస్తూనే ఉన్నాము. యూటిలస్ యూజినియా అటువంటిది అసలు ఆఫ్రికన్ స్పీషీస్ అయినప్పటికీ కూడా ఐ థింక్ వీఆర్ కండిషన్స్ ఇక్కడ మనం రేర్ చేస్తూనే ఉన్నాము. మొత్తం ఆల్ ద 3 రెడ్ వామ్స్ చేస్తున్నాము, బ్లూ వామ్స్ ఐసీనియా ఫెటిడా చేస్తున్నాము, యూటిలస్ యూజినే చేస్తున్నాము, పెరియానిక్స్ ఎక్స్కవేటర్స్తో కూడా రేరింగ్ చేస్తూనే ఉన్నాము. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ క్వశ్చన్ ఆఫ్ రేరింగ్, కంపోస్టింగ్ చేస్తున్నాము. తర్వాత కంపోస్టింగ్, హౌ టు ప్రిపేర్ ద కంపోస్ట్ అనేది మీ యొక్క సెకండ్ క్వశ్చన్. ఐ థింక్ నవ్ ఐఎమ్ కమింగ్ టు దట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్. ఇప్పుడు నేను నెక్స్ట్ డిస్కస్ చేసేది ఏంటి అంటే హౌ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ ఫర్ కంపోస్టింగ్, ఎలా కంపోస్టింగ్ చేస్తాము అన్నది. చెప్పిన తర్వాత కూడా మీరు వినిన తర్వాత కూడా మీకు ఏమైనా డౌట్ ఉంటే అప్పుడు మళ్ళీ క్వశ్చన్ చేయండి, ఓకేనా? ఓకే, సో ఐ థింక్ నౌ విల్ గో ఫర్ ద నెక్స్ట్ పార్ట్, దట్ ఈస్ ద కంపోస్టింగ్ ప్రాసెస్. సో కంపోస్టింగ్ ప్రాసెస్లో ద ఫస్ట్ పార్ట్ నేను ముఖ్యంగా మీకు చెప్తున్నాను, చాలా క్లియర్గా చెప్తున్నాను. ఏంటి అంటే ఫస్ట్ మెటీరియల్స్ ఏంటి అన్నది సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి. మోస్ట్లీ నేను చెప్పాను ఆర్గానిక్ మెటీరియల్స్, ఓన్లీ ద ఆర్గానిక్ మెటీరియల్స్ హ్యాస్ టు బి సెలెక్టెడ్. అండ్ 3 types of organic materials are there, and one is the kitchen waste, and the second one is agricultural waste materials, and the third one is agro industrial వేస్ట్ మెటీరియల్స్. అగ్రో ఇండస్ట్రియల్ అంటే మీకు కొంచెం అక్కడ అర్థమై ఉండొచ్చు, వాట్ ఈస్ పల్ప్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ ఉండొచ్చు, షుగర్ కేన్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ కావచ్చు, తర్వాత ఆయిల్ ఎక్స్ట్రాక్షన్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్ కావచ్చు, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ మే బి. దిస్ అగ్రో ఇండస్ట్రీస్ మెటీరియల్స్ అంతా కూడా దట్ ఆల్ ద ఎంటైర్ మెటీరియల్స్ వీ కెన్ పుట్ టు యూజ్ ఫర్ దిస్ వర్మికల్చర్ ప్రాసెస్. ఓకే, ఓకే, దెన్ నెక్స్ట్ when what are the conditions we have to ప్రివైల్ ఇన్ దిస్, ఏ కండిషన్స్లో మనం కంపోస్టింగ్ మనం తయారు చేయొచ్చు అన్నది ముఖ్యంగా దట్ ఈస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఏం కండిషన్స్ అంటే మొట్టమొదటిగా ఏంటి అంటే మనం తీసుకునేటువంటి మెటీరియల్, స్ప్రెడ్ చేసినటువంటి మెటీరియల్ పోరస్గా ఉండాలి. ఇట్ షుడ్ బి పోరస్ బికాస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్ కంప్లీట్లీ ఏరోబిక్ ప్రాసెస్. It is not completely anaerobic process. Okay, aerobic process కాబట్టి ఆక్సిజన్ penetrate చేసే విధంగా, and we have to spread the materials, and the material should be very very porous. And another important thing is temperature. Temperature always try to maintain the temperature between 25 to 30 degrees centigrade, and because ఇక 30-35 degrees centigrade ఎక్స్టెండ్ అయిపోతే ఎర్త్వర్మ్ డల్ అయిపోతుంది, and it can't move actively, and sometimes I think it can kill, this temperature can kill the earthworms also. Kabatti always maintain the temperature in the vermicompost bins, I think between 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. And another important thing is humidity. Humidity is very important for this earthworm because daniki skin respiration e untundi. Respiration is completely through skin. Okay, so kabatti humidity always we have to maintain the humidity 75% of humidity we have to maintain. Okay, and another important thing is the pH. The pH, the materials which we are selecting for the composting should always be in the pH in the neutral conditions. Neutral pH ante enti almost after 7 7 తర్వాత 7 మ్యాక్సిమం, అండ్ తర్వాత ఓకే ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేసుకో 8 వరకు ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. కానీ 6 కంటే కింద pH ఉన్నటువంటి మెటీరియల్ తీసుకుంటే ఐ థింక్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎసిడిక్ pH, అండ్ టోటలీ దీస్ ఎర్త్వార్మ్స్ ఇమీడియట్లీ దే విల్ డై ఇన్ ద ఎసిడిక్ కండిషన్స్. So always to konta alkali, it can withstand a little bit of alkalinity, but never it withstands the acidic conditions. So but always try to be with the in the neutral conditions maintain cheyatame manchidi. Okay, I think ee conditions maintain cheyali ani I think you prepare your mind, and then you can come for the composting process. Okay, now we will go for the composting process step by step. The first step in the composting process is preparation of selection of the site. Site selection is very important. Always site selection should be under the shade of the trees. ఏదైనా షేడ్ ట్రీస్ యొక్క షేడ్లో ఉండాలి తప్ప డైరెక్ట్గా సన్కి ఎక్స్పోజ్ అయ్యేటట్టు ఉండకూడదు. ఎందుకంటే అది టెంపరేచర్ని విత్స్టాండ్ చేయలేదు అని ముందే చెప్పాను. ఇట్ కాంట్ విత్స్టాండ్ ద టెంపరేచర్ బియాండ్ 30 degrees or maximum 35 degrees. Okay, so that is the main reason always you prefer the site of this vermicomposting in the shady areas. And the next come to the exact process. And if you go for the exact process, first you have to prepare the vermi bed. First దాన్ని ఏమంటామంటే earthworm bed అంటున్నాం దాన్ని. సో ఎర్త్వార్మ్ బెడ్ ఏంటి అంటే ఆటోమేటిక్గా ఎటువంటి అన్అవాయిడబుల్ సర్కమ్స్టాన్సెస్ వచ్చినా కానీ ఇమీడియట్గా ద ఎర్త్వార్మ్ కెన్ క్రాల్ అండ్ సేఫ్లీ స్టే ఇన్ ఇట్ బెడ్ లోపల స్టే ఉండగలుగుతుంది. సో హౌ టు ప్రిపేర్ దిస్ బెడ్ ఇనిషియలీ మీన్స్ ఫస్ట్ యూ టేక్ ద broken bricks and some pebbles, some stones or whatever it may be, stone pieces, and completely spread this entire thing on the surface layers on the soil. Then totally it should be compacted. So totally it should be గట్టిగా కంపాక్ట్గా ఉంచేటట్టు చూడండి. అండ్ దిస్ శాండ్ స్టోన్ లేయర్ అది దగ్గర ఇట్ షుడ్ బి 3 to 4 centimeters మీరు అంటే దట్ ఈస్ గ్రౌండ్ లెవెల్ నుండి 3 to 4 centimeters లెవెల్లో యు ఆర్ స్టార్టింగ్ యువర్ కంపోస్టింగ్ బెడ్ యాక్చువల్లీ. Okay, because why you are taking this much of distance, 3 to 4 centimeters means if any ants will be there and some other organisms, I think it won't directly target these earthworms. So we can protect the earthworms from that places. Okay then, so I think after this 3 to 4 centimeters, after this bed it is prepared, and then coarse sandy layers, spread the coarse sandy sand on the top of it, and nearly 15 centimeters varaku you spread that coarse sand. Okay, that will be your second layer. First one will be the bed with 3 to 4 centimeters, and totally it is made up of small bricks and small pebbles and small stones and everything in a compact manner. And the second one is 15 centimeters of that complete coarse sand. So on the above that coarse sand, I think you can put another layer of soil, ordinary soil. Okay, another layer of ordinary humus soil, and that soil may be nearly 4 to 6 centimeters of soil. So then after that you can release your earthworms. You can the inoculation of earthworms can be done at the third layer stage. Third layer stage means one is the brick layer, the other one is the coarse sand layer, and the last one is the soil layer. So there at that stage I think you can inoculate the earthworms, but don't be in a hurry to inoculate the excess number of earthworms. I think 100 earthworms is more than enough, and you inoculate the earthworms. Then after that you put a cow dung at least 3 to 4 centimeters. Cow dung, whether it is dry one or wet one doesn't matter, you put a cow dung on that. And then after that you put 10 centimeters nearly hay means that is grass. Hay means that is nothing but it is a grass. Okay, a dry grass, whatever it may be. So that is the top layer, that will be the cement, that is 10 centimeters height. Okay, so but then after that you spread the leaves, that is bamboo leaves, where the oxygen can easily penetrate. Otherwise you can put the gunny bags, you can spread the gunny bags on the top of it. so that the oxygen should penetrate inside the vermicompost bed. Okay, then start spraying the water, sprinkle the water morning and evening. Just sprinkle the water. The bed should be wet in bed should be humid enough, but it should not soak in the water. The bed should not soak in the water, because otherwise the earthworms will crawl away. సో ఈ విధంగా ప్రిపేర్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఫర్ 30 days you water the compost bed. Then after that, at 31st day, I think you can see, the meantime you can see the small earthworms, small earthworms completely, that is crawling around the bed. So the number, that is nothing but biomass. We put only 100 earthworms, and this is nothing but the increase of biomass. So I think we can see that thousands of small earthworms are crawling outside, and these thousands of earthworms we can call it as juveniles and juvenile earthworms. I think you can see that small juvenile earthworms are crawling there. Okay, and these juvenile earthworms are pink in color, and the sex organs are not developed, and even the clitoral limb is also not developed, but they are the voracious feeders. అండ్ బికాస్ మనం అక్కడ కౌడంగ్ ఆల్రెడీ వేసాం కాబట్టి ఇనీషియల్లీ మనం వేయకపోయినప్పటికీ కూడా కౌడంగ్ అక్కడ మనకి దానికి ఉపయోగపడుతూ ఉంటుంది. అండ్
హలో
మేడం,
యా టెల్ మీ.
నేను నల్గొండ జిల్లా నుంచి ఫోన్ చేస్తున్నా మేడం.
ఓకే,
మై నేమ్ ఈజ్ అనంతరాములు.
యా,
అండ్ ఐ హ్యావ్ ఏ డౌట్ అబౌట్ ఎర్త్ వామ్స్ అండ్ ఫర్టిలైజర్స్.
ఓకే ఓకే, yes, you can speak your doubt, sir.
Okay madam, if there is any harm to earthworms if we put phosphorus? Okay madam,
harm
okay.
phosphorus అయ్యొద్దు కదండి, బికాజ్ అది కెమికల్ ఫర్టిలైజర్ కదా.
there is no minimum phosphorus also is not necessary madam.
అస్సలు వేయొద్దండి ఫాస్ఫరస్, ఏది వేయద్దు. ఇది టోటల్గా ఇట్ ఈస్ అన్ ఆర్గానిక్ దిస్ కదా. ఇది అవును, ఏ కార్బన్ కానీ ఫాస్ఫరస్ కానీ ఏమి వేయాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఏమీ లేదు కూడా, ఎక్స్ట్రా మెటీరియల్స్ యాడ్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు
మేడం. మనకు 24 kgs ఫాస్ఫరస్ వాడాలంటారు కదా.
ఓకే,
మరి ఎర్త్ వామ్స్ మనకు 12 ఒక 1.2 tons అంటారు కదా ఎకరానికి.
ఓకే,
ఎకరా 1.2 tons అంటే 24 కిలోల ఫాస్ఫరస్ వస్తుందా మేడం?
ఏమన్నారు 24 tons అంటే?
1.2 tons ఏమంటారు కదా ఎకరానికి.
ఓకే, వర్మి కంపోస్ట్ 1.2 tons వేయమంటున్నాము ఎకరానికి. ఓకే,
24 kgs ఫాస్ఫరస్ ఉంటుందా మేడం దాంట్లో? మరి
ఫాస్ఫరస్ లెవెల్స్ కొద్దిగా తగ్గితే, అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఒకటి కంప్లీట్గా ఫాస్ఫరస్ లెవెల్స్ మీరు కన్సిడర్ చేసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం ఏంటి? మీరు ఇంకా కాల్షియం మెగ్నీషియం అవన్నీ చూసుకోండి. ఆ తర్వాత కూడా కొంచెం ఏదైనా ఫాస్ఫరస్ తగ్గితే అప్పుడు మరి యూ కెన్ యాడ్ ద ఫాస్ఫరస్ డైరెక్ట్గా ఫర్టిలైజర్ నుండి యాడ్ చేసుకోండి. అండ్ యాక్చువల్గా చెప్పాలి అంటే దిస్ కంపోస్ట్లో యాక్చువల్గా ఫాస్ఫరస్ యొక్క కంపోజిషన్ చాలా తక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. మెయిన్ గా ఉన్న దాంట్లో ఏంటంటే కాపర్, ఐరన్, జింక్.
24 kgs అంటారు కదా మేడం ఫాస్ఫరస్.
మరి పక్కన ఉన్న ఫాస్ఫరస్ కెమికల్ ఫర్టిలైజర్ వేసుకోండి అయ్యా.
వేసుకుంటే మరి ఎర్త్ వామ్స్ చనిపోతాయి అంటారు కదా మేడం.
ఎర్త్ వామ్స్ ఎప్పుడు చనిపోతాయి? నువ్వు కంపోస్ట్ బెడ్ లో వేయటం లేదు కదా. యు ఆర్ నాట్ యాడింగ్ ద ఫాస్ఫరస్ ఇన్ ద కంపోస్ట్ బెడ్. నువ్వు ఎప్పుడు చేలో పొలంలో వేస్తున్నావు, అవునా? పొలంలో వేస్తున్నప్పుడు పొలంలో నువ్వు వేసేదేంటి? కంపోస్ట్ అయిన బ్యాగ్ తీసుకుపోయి ఫర్టిలైజర్గా బ్యాగ్ని పొలంలో వేస్తున్నావు, బ్యాగ్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఫర్టిలైజర్ని. అంతేగాని కంపోస్ట్ బిన్లో నువ్వు ఫాస్ఫరస్ నీకు అవసరం లేదు కదా, అక్కడ ఎందుకు వేస్తావు? వేయవు కదా, పొలంలో వేసుకో.
అయితే పొలంలో ఉన్న ఎర్త్ వామ్స్ చనిపోతాయంటున్నారు కదా.
పొలంలో ఉన్న ఎర్త్వామ్స్ అసలు మనం ఇప్పుడు చేసే కెమికల్ కంటామినేషన్ పొల్యూషన్కి ఎర్త్వామ్స్ చాలా ఎప్పుడో చచ్చిపోతూనే ఉన్నాయి.
నేను పూర్తిగా సేంద్రీయ వ్యవసాయం చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. ఫాస్ఫరస్ సరిపోకపోతే ఏం చేయాలి? ఫాస్ఫరస్ బదులు మనం ఏం వేయాలి అనేది ఆలోచన.
ఎన్పీకే వేసుకోండి, కొంచెం కెమికల్ ఫర్టిలైజర్స్, నైట్రోజన్, ఫాస్ఫరస్, పొటాషియం మీకు బ్యాగుల్లో దొరుకుతుంది కదా. అప్పుడు కంపోస్ట్తో పాటు చూడండి, ఈల్డ్ సరిగా లేకపోతే ఫాస్ఫరస్ అవసరం అని గట్టిగా మీకు అనిపిస్తే అప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ క్రాప్లో కొంచెం ఎన్పీకే యాడ్ చేసుకోండి. ఓకే, తర్వాత ఓకేమ్మా. ఓకే దెన్ ఐ థింక్ ఎక్కడి వరకు వచ్చాము మనము? లేయర్స్ ప్రిపేర్ చేసుకుంటూ వచ్చాము. ఒక 30 days వెయిట్ చేసాము. అండ్ స్మాల్ జూనైల్స్ అన్నీ కూడా
5 minutes.
స్మాల్ జూనైల్స్ అన్నీ కూడా బయటికి వచ్చేసినాయి. అండ్ దెన్ అనదర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్ ఏంటి అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఈ స్టేజ్లో ఆర్గానిక్ వేస్ట్ని యాడ్ చేయండి. You have to add the organic waste materials only after 30 days after the increase of biomass production. Okay, and immediately after putting the organic waste also, I think nearly 5 centimeters of organic waste materials we have to add on that bins. Okay, then after that totally cover it with gunny bags or leaves or whatever it may be, then sprinkle some water daily, and then after adding the organic waste, and it will take nearly 45 days to complete the entire process of composting preparation. అంటే అంతకుముందు ఆల్రెడీ 30 days ఉన్నాయి. బయోమాస్ ఇంక్రీజ్ చేయడానికి వీ హ్యావ్ ఆల్రెడీ పుట్ దట్ ఫర్ 30 days. And then in addition to 30 days, this 45 days exclusively is for formation of the compost, actually from the organic waste materials. Okay, and daily you sprinkle water morning and evening. Then after that at 42nd day, I think you can see that the entire organic waste materials are completely form humus like substance, almost just like a soil. Okay, at that time at 42nd day you stop completely watering the wormy beds ni water cheyatam aapeseyandi. And because the entire upper layers become dry and earthworms never survive in the dry environment, and automatically it will tends to crawl at the bottom of that layers. బాటమ్ లోపలికి వెళ్ళిపోవటానికి మళ్ళీ క్రాల్ చేసుకుంటూ ఉంటుంది. అండ్ అగైన్ ఆటోమేటిక్లీ ఇట్ విల్ రీచ్ టు ద బెడ్ పార్ట్. బెడ్ మీన్స్ వీ హ్యావ్ ఆల్రెడీ ప్రిపేర్డ్ ద బెడ్. In any unavoidable circumstances, immediately the earthworm can withdraw and it can safely stay inside the bed material. Then after that, this is the composting process. I think 30 days for biomass increase and the rest of the 45 days for composting process. మొత్తం దగ్గర 70 to 75 days process ఇది. ఓకే దెన్ సో బయోమాస్ అంతా కంప్లీట్గా కంపోస్ట్ అయిపోయింది. దెన్ లాస్ట్ పార్ట్ ఏంటి అంటే హార్వెస్టింగ్. మరి ఆ కంపోస్ట్ని బయటికి తీసుకోవాలి కదా. హార్వెస్ట్ ఏంటంటే ఒక 2 minutesలో నేను ఆపేస్తాను, ఎందుకంటే బికాస్ టైం చాలా తక్కువ అయిపోతుంది. హార్వెస్ట్ ఏంటంటే యూ పూల్ అప్ ద ఎంటైర్ కంపోస్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద అప్పర్ లేయర్స్ అండ్ యూ పుట్ దెమ్ ఇన్ అ కోనికల్ స్ట్రక్చర్స్గా పెట్టేసేయండి. అండ్ దెన్ ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ keep the compost in conical shape heaps, I think nearly 24 to 30 hours, and then after that whatever the earthworms are there, I think again they will come down, and upper materials I think we can take and you can lift it. Okay, so I think time is very short. Inta ekkadiki chaala varaku maximum I think we have discussed, and if any doubts I think directly you can come and talk with us in our Department of Zoology, Ambedkar Open University. Okay, అండ్ ఇంకొక ఆయన అడిగిన డౌట్కి నేను మెయిన్గా చెప్పేది ఏంటి అంటే ఈ యొక్క కంపోస్ట్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఆర్గానిక్ మెటీరియల్స్ ఏంటంటే ఆర్గానిక్ కార్బన్, టోటల్ నైట్రోజన్ అండ్ అవైలబుల్ ఫాస్ఫరస్ చాలా తక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. 0.1 to 0.26 మాత్రమే ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి ఇందాక కూడా నేను చెప్పాను ఫాస్ఫరస్ కంటెంట్ ఈజ్ వెరీ వెరీ లెస్, అండ్ అవైలబుల్ పొటాషియం అండ్ దెన్ ఈజ్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ 0.15 to 0.5, అండ్ సోడియం ఎక్సెస్గా ఉంటుంది. దెన్ కాల్షియం ఈజ్ వెరీ హై, దగ్గర 47 వరకు కాల్షియం ఉంటుంది. కాపర్, ఐరన్, జింక్ అన్నీ కూడా చాలా పర్ఫెక్ట్ కంపోజిషన్స్లో ఉంటుంది. కాబట్టి డైరెక్ట్లీ యూ కెన్ పుట్ దిస్ ఫర్ ద ప్లాంట్స్ అండ్ యూ కెన్ యూజ్ ఇట్. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. చెప్పండి.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving such an important lecture about use of earthworm in organic waste management. Thank you.